Evening, David.
Evening, Adam.
Uh, Tired?
Yeah, a little bit, mate. Yeah, it's just a little bit.
Well, I'll
Took the
try and
kid.
keep you awake. We'll introduce our guest in a minute. I'll try and keep you awake as we talk the week in wrestling, where a crate has appeared in WWE. Whatever next. The Elimination Chamber is this weekend, but the field is yet to be complete. And over on AEW, the Elite have had a rough week. And Hangman Adam Page has done a deal with the devil, but does that deal question his long-term future in AEW? We'll talk about all of that and a lot more on This Week in Wrestling on the Hitting a Turnbuckle podcast with, of course, fresh from me and Kevin Nash this week inside the ropes. Thank you, Kenny and Fiona, for that. We've obviously our very tired, weary problem child, David Robinson. You've had some fun and games this week on your holiday, haven't you?
Yes, mate. Just got back from Morocco, and yeah, after taking two kids under 7 abroad for a week, I definitely need another holiday now to recover.
You definitely do. But of course, we also got a third person joining us this week. We've had quite a few of these going forward recently from Body Slam and from the One Breezy podcast. You've seen him on here before. It's our good buddy Jordan. Evening, Jordan. How are we doing?
Not bad, Adam, yourself.
Yeah, good man. You're fresh from full of love of wrestling, I take it.
Yeah, it was eventful yesterday. I mean, I left my house about 5:30, got to the train station, 3 hours there, did all my little bits and bobs, spent about 6 hours for the love of wrestling, and then made sure I got back at a reasonable time, another 3 hours back. So, pretty much last night, my legs were killing and I was tired.
Sound a bit like David, but without two 7-year-olds, and that is
Mm.
anyway. Well, at least I hope. Anyway, look, let's get on with this. Dave, we'll start with we'll talk all around, but David, you first. Look, if you haven't seen it already, David, on Raw this week, a mysterious crate arrived, um, saying it can't be opened until basically the Elimination Chamber. There was rumors that this was going to be Jericho, but turns out Jericho's AEW deal has been frozen, so it doesn't look like he's coming anywhere soon. I've had people saying it's the return of the golden egg that Vince McMahon done during COVID. What do you make of this, and what on earth is this going to be, in your opinion, Dave?
Well, I've seen three like strong rumors or what people are talking online. Jericho is the one,
Yeah.
but as you say, looking at his contract status or what's been reported, it doesn't look likely that it will be him. Um, he did finish up a UK tour last night with Fozzy in Wolverhampton, just up the road from where I am.
Yeah,
Danhausen, another one,
I
has
heard
been
that.
doing the rounds, yeah, but I can't imagine that he would be kind of put into that role in the Elimination Chamber because I think it's going to be an extra pod. That's what I
Oh,
think it will be. Yeah, I think in the box will be another pod, and there'll be an additional participant. But then it's like who's that going to be? But that's what I think. But what do you think, Jordan? Who do you think's either going to be in the box or what's going to be in the box?
I've heard a few things. At first, I thought it was going to be like Jericho, but then straight up, not going to happen now because, like Adams just said, the his contract's frozen. I've heard Vince.
oh, fuck
Mhm.
me. Right,
I've
okay.
heard Vince, but they wouldn't do that, mind you. Anything's possible with WWE,
Yeah.
but I think it's The Rock
Oh, okay. Right. Where are we going with
They
this?
because
did last year, didn't they?
some
Yeah.
someone has been on the phone with Mr. Pierce as of late, and Mr.
Nice.
Pierce has been. I'm not saying backing down, but who knows? But then it could also be the mystery attacker.
Yeah, could be Seth Rollins in that sense. It will be
Yeah,
Seth Rollins event. I mean, it doesn't necessarily mean it's Seth Rollins now, but we know where that's going, unless they throw us all off the scent, right? It could be
yeah.
Janelle Grant.
Well, it's funny you should say about Vince because there has been rumors that he's had involvement again with you know I heard that today and just some of the way the show's been produced as well. Some of the lines that Cole seems to be hitting on commentary. It's very kind of Vince-esque. how they're kind of building things up. So there are rumors that Vince is back involved. So yeah, maybe. Who knows?
Fuck knows. We'll find out this coming Saturday Elimination Chamber. I love the Danhausen one. I just think it's too big of a reveal for Danhausen. I know that may sound really harsh on him, but I feel as if that's too. I don't know. But that would be the easy one, right? Because Danhausen would be someone that he would just come out of a box, right? And if you believe Jim Cornette, everything that come out of a box gets over. Danhausen's already over because he's loved, notoriously loved everywhere. But he would just be another comedy gimmick, right? That would just be a whole,
He'd be comedy, but he'd be a big merch seller for them. And
yeah.
I think he's quite good friends with CM Punk. So yeah,
Pepsi Phil, as he calls him.
yeah.
Pepsi Phil.
So
One person it won't be is Brock Lesnar because he's back tomorrow on Raw.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's another one that's going to come back in. We'll talk Elimination Chamber in a minute, but there's something I forgot to mention to you guys that I wanted to talk about, and the only reason it's just jogged my memory is because I've just seen a post from her on Twitter or X or whatever the social shit that you want to call it nowadays. Natty Neidhart, Jordan, I'm going to come to you first on this one. Right, so we're expected to believe Natty Neidhart, who's now this badass MMA fighter. This is meant to be the best character that she's ever portrayed, which is absolutely true. Natty Neidhart is still probably the best wrestler, pure wrestler, women's wrestler, probably even better than some of the men on the roster. Yet is still losing every single week, Jordan. What does Natty have to do in the WWE to be taken seriously?
I feel like this is kind of going off topic 2 secs, but I feel like 18 months ago her contract was going to be not renewed.
Yeah.
Because it was expiring, but then she was going to go and do elsewhere. But then she re-signed, and then she did GCW. She did all these other places. She did NWA. She'd been everywhere last year. I think last year was one of her best years, in my personal opinion. And I don't know, because that character, like a repackage that she had, that heel turn should have done something.
Yeah,
but it hasn't. And I think Triple H's booking the last 2 years has been 18 months has been a bit up and down.
Certainly has. I would agree with that. But Dave, I wanted to touch on this, right? Because I feel Natty's going to be a shoe-in, like a lifer, right? She's going to be a WWE lifer. That's not to say that she wouldn't go to AEW. She could go to AEW now and still be one of the best. She's not, obviously. We know contractually she can't be. And I remember Andy, when he was on here, he made a great point, Dave. He said, like, name me one great Natty Neidhart feud or one great Natty Neidhart moment. And the only one that ever I can come think of was Charlotte Flair and NXT when you had Brett and Rick outside. Is she going to go down? Well, actually, let me just rephrase it. How would you describe Natty Neidhart's career in WWE? Probably too much of a question for you after a 4 or 5 hour plane journey, but still.
Missed opportunity, I'd say.
That's one. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I mean, it's been solid enough at times, but kind of underwhelming at others. Given her lineage and how good she is in the ring, I think she really should be going down as one of the best women wrestlers of all time. But I don't think that's the case. I think she should have. I think the way she should have been presented and the way she should have been booked, all the kind of ingredients were there. But yeah, I think Jordan's on the money, to be honest. Missed opportunity.
I think it's going to be extremely underwhelming for me. And that's not her fault, by the way. I'm not blaming Natty one bit on this. This is how she's been perceived in the WWE. For me, this, as I said, she's probably better. She's still the best women's wrestler on there. She's probably better than most of the men on that roster. She could go to AEW tomorrow and be a multiple time world champion. She won't, but she could be. She's doing all the stuff in the dungeon as well with obviously Tyson Kidd, TJ Wilson. I just think And it made me laugh because Jordan mentioned it there. She went to GCW with this character. She went to NWA with this character. We're never going to see the match that she had with Kenzie Page in NWA. I know for a fact I've actually seen footage, unseen footage of that via the contacts at the NWA, and I can tell you that that match is pretty damn well. Although again, she lost it, funny enough, but she wasn't going to win the
Well,
Women's World Championship.
that's the thing is she's just lost too much over the year. She just consistently lost, and when she has been on top, she's never really had a long run, or she's just lost too many matches, and I think that's you know she's suffered for that, and her career has suffered for that. No fault of her own, really, just the way the matches have been booked.
Yeah, there we go. Booking has gone very far in the last decade that she's been in there. Hall of Famer, though, I would definitely say Hall of Famer. Speaking of Hall of Famers, and well, he's not a Hall of Famer yet, but he probably will be soon. AJ Styles will be celebrated tomorrow night on Raw. Rumor has it that he's staying with the company. In a coaching facility. So we'll see what happens there. I want to switch gears though and talk AEW. Again, another fantastic week. I mean, Dave, we're going to come back to you again first on this one. Every week right now that I watch Dynamite, I watch Collision, and I just watch AEW programming. I sit there at the end of every show, and I haven't done this for many, many years, and gone, I need to watch this next week because I am really intrigued as to what's going on. At the end of this week's AEW, obviously Swerve Strickland, returned heel again on Kenny Omega on this week. But whatever Tony Khan is doing, David, on AEW, he needs to keep doing it because right now they're knocking everything out of the park.
Yeah, it just seems to get better week on week. It's been a very good product for a long time now. I think MJF coming back has played into that. I think what they've done at the top of the card with, making, you got Kenny, you got Hangman, you got Swerve, you got MJF. You've even got people like Brody King's coming at the top of the card, and he's done a good job as well. And yeah, Andrade, yeah, another one. And we're not even talking about Ospreay, who's obviously out injured. Okada, Takeshita. There's just so many. Carl Fletcher, Mark Davis. The last few weeks,
Yeah.
Mark Davis has been an absolute star of the show for me. I think I feared for him when Jake Doyle got injured. I thought, that's another real blow for Mark Davis as well. But he has shown in the last few weeks in his matches and his match against Mox, wasn't it? Was it Mox this week?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's just everything's just clicking for them. And even what we've criticized in the past about the titles and too many belts, they're doing a real good job of making all those belts feel different, have something about them. They've got different, like the Continental title, you got the different rules. And yeah, I just think across the board, I think the women's division has been really good. I think the women's tag division is really good, and there's some new additions that have come in there that we'll talk about.
Mhm.
But yeah, just across the board, I think the ratings are up. I think the buy rates for the pay-per-views have always been pretty consistent with AEW, and yeah, it's a real kind of boom period for them. They're kind of back where they were, in that like initial few years in terms of the popularity. Yeah, firing on all cylinders at the minute, they really are.
Yeah, definitely. So, Jordan, what do you think's changed? Because obviously, look, it's gone through peaks and troughs. Yes, it started well. It went flat for a period of time. We're now coming back up with AEW. It's been consistently great now for, well, you could argue nearly a calendar year, really, in terms of, everything TK's done. What do you think has changed within AEW?
I wouldn't really say change. I would say adapting. I think Tony's like not caring about what people are saying. He's doing not what he wants, but what he feels best is for AEW. As in, say for example, look who they lost last year, the Lucha Brothers, one of the originals. They've just recently lost Will Hobbs, but also look at the additions that they've added this year already. I mean, the Rascals. Just
Yeah.
going off topic a little second, Rascals have been there 2-3 weeks, and it's kind of interesting because obviously we knew that the Young Bucks were going to be facing FTR at Revolution,
Mhm.
but as of last night, the Rascals are now getting a shot.
Yeah.
So Tony's very good at involving people and like different people. Like you mentioned, Mark Davies. I think he's been phenomenal this year. I
Mhm.
mean, even when he turned up for PWA, because I watched that in that
Yeah,
four-way match, that was he was incredible there.
yeah.
It's Tony's probably just not caring as much and not listening to the negativity. Just I don't think he's listening to it, and he's doing his different. He's doing things differently.
Yeah, he's doing whatever he's doing. It's working. That's what I say. I have one slight criticism, Jordan. I'll come to you first on this. Megan Bain, who I think's fantastic. I think's really really good. But once again, Megan Bain comes up short in a championship match. She's done it recently. Grand Slam Australia, I think maybe. Oh no, maybe as early as this week's Dynamite as well. The only thing that concerns me about Megan Bain losing title match after title match after title match is credibility when it becomes when it is her time, because there's no doubt it's gonna be her time. She's gonna win an AEW championship, but do they have to be careful, Jordan, not to keep her losing those big title matches when they come up?
Personally, I would give her the tag titles.
Hmm.
I have a decent run with them. Then obviously break away from Penelope Ford. Then
Yeah,
go after the women's title. I think what you have just said there is you've got to go steady because Megan Bain, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, I think she's like 6 foot something
yeah,
or maybe, but she's unbelievable in the ring. She was putting in the effort last year because she was doing Stardom.
yeah.
Then she came back for Full Gear. Then she also, I think, she came back for Full Gear. Then she went back and forth for like 4 weeks straight, or do you know, putting in the work of someone like in the 90s or something. And she will be champion this year.
Oh, she will be. It'll just be a matter of when. Dave, though, when it comes to this, and where I touched upon about, when you win when you've got to go for championships, you've got to win them. Is it the case now with Megan Bain, David, that whatever title match she's put in next, regardless of whether it's tag or single, she's going to have to really win it before that stock starts to crash?
Yeah, hopefully, I think Jordan's right. I think she will be either the women's or the TBS champion before the year's through. Whether in the interim period they'll put the tag belts on her with Penelope. I think that would be. I mean, we've had Babes Araf, obviously first champions, have held the belts for a couple of months. I think there's been a lot more, and I don't want to call it like hot potato in the belts, but we've seen a lot more shorter runs. But I don't think that's detracted from the product or made the belts any less important. I think I don't know. I think it's helped product. It's made things really exciting. And yeah, we've seen big, long title runs in wrestling over the past few years and some really good ones.
Mhm.
But I just think there's an appetite for the AW fans at the minute to have the titles change a bit more frequently and have contenders. Everyone going after those top prizes. So it wouldn't surprise me at all if Megan and Penelope were to capture the tag titles. But yeah, surely they've got to put a singles title on Megan Bain before long because she's just too good. And as you say, you don't want to kind of keep it too long and too long and she keeps losing these matches, even if they're four ways or triple threats. Ultimately you need to see her come out on top.
Yeah, you do. It was nice this week that we actually had a world title, well, a world championship eliminator where the eliminating team wins, which is the Rascals, which is the point Jordan made. So many times that
Yeah.
we see these matches where this is an eliminator, but the champion wins. It was nice to have that bit of difference this week with the Rascals, as Jordan mentioned. But it wouldn't be a week, Dave. I don't think a week goes by where we're not saying, "Oh, AEW have signed somebody else," and it's happened again. Well, three signings coming off the back of Grand Slam Australia. One of them being Lana Cross, one and the other two being very familiar faces to our screen. They just finished up with TNA, the Inspiration or the Iconics, however you want to call them. Where do you put these three, Dave? Because we've just seen a new team in the Brawling Birds in Alex Windsor, Jamie Hayter start up as well. When is more importantly, though, when the fuck is it going to end with AEW and their signings right now?
Yeah, I really like the signings though.
Mhm.
I
Yeah,
think in the past they've shown just how entertaining they are, and
yeah,
it's something definitely different for the women's tag division. Yeah, whether they'll be bought in quickly or whether, because as you say, where do you slot them in at the minute? The roster is just so stacked, and yeah, I mean, we obviously with Collision we see them rotate you don't always see the same stars on
yeah.
Dynamite as you do Collision, so there is a bit of a soft brand split, I would suggest.
Mm.
So yeah, maybe we see them more on Collision. But regardless, I think it's a real good signing for AEW, and you know, s- I'm all for it to be honest. You don't want people to get lost in the shuffle, but I think
Yeah,
Tony Khan has been done such a great job of keeping everyone feeling important. And even if they don't wrestle week in, week out, there's a lot going on with vignettes and you
yeah.
know, catch up like video montages and stuff. So yeah, long may it continue, and I'm sure the icons or the inspiration will continue to add to the success of the company.
I think so. I like the signage. Jordan, although Jordan, at what point? Because obviously we've mentioned this before, Dave, where we either say, do they do a hard split? Or do they bring back like a Rampage, Jordan, maybe for an hour, maybe make Rampage the women's show on AW? I don't know, like, but the sign because when he makes signings, Jordan, he's not just making not saying nothing signings, because that's not, all these signings that he's made are big names, right? No matter what way you look at it, whether it was Jake Doyle, he was Jake Summink in TNA, the Rascals that you mentioned, Lena Cross has come in, she's a massive star in the Independents, the Iconics, massive everywhere they go. Where do you fit all these people in?
You've got Dynamite, you got Collision, you got Ring of Honor. I would
Mhm.
bring back Dark and Rampage.
Yeah,
And I
yeah,
would put Dark on YouTube and I would put Rampage on YouTube. Sometimes maybe what's so you got Wednesday and a Saturday. I'd put something on a Monday.
oh, along with Raw.
Yeah. But obviously you don't need to put it doesn't need to break ratings or something. It just needs to give
No.
like some people TV time or
Mm.
like a platform to perform.
Yeah, it needs something because it's just the roster's crazy. I mean, what I will do, Dave, before when we come on next week and do this, I'm going to literally have the roster. There's
Yeah,
probably going to be another sign in next week, and there, this it's not, it wouldn't be AEW if there wasn't. But I'll have the roster next week.
well,
And
he's done a really good job though of everybody he's brought in. They've like Andrade's come in, and this isn't the Andrade we got first time round.
no,
As much as he had some good matches, he feels like they could put the title on him and it wouldn't feel out of place. You know, he has established himself. He's like NXT Black and Gold Andrade. You know how they've brought
yeah.
him in, they've integrated him within the Don Callis family, and I think that's been a really good fit as well.
Mm.
I like when he talks, but you got Don Callis backing him up as well because there is that bit of that language barrier. So you got Don Callis kind of staking his claim for him as well. But yeah, everybody that Tony's brought in, the Rascals, like Jordan said, Rascals have now won that match, and we'll see what happens with the Young Bucks and FTR. But the Rascals have come in, they've got a title shot. You brought Ciampa in, you made him TNT champion, and he's talking about, wanting to go after the belt again on Collision. I think he's just done it. It's just across the board. I don't know if it's just Tony Khan or who's doing what backstage, but everything's clicking at the minute.
Yeah, it is. It's clicking very, very well and very, very nicely, I might add. Just the last bit on AEW. So we did see on Dynamite this week, MJF and Hangman Adam Page, and Hangman Adam Page kind of made a deal with the devil, right? They obviously named it a Texas Death Match, but the big stipulation, as if you didn't need a stipulation on top of a stipulation, was if Hangman Adam Page loses, he can never go for the AEW World Heavyweight Championship again. Dave, this screams Cody. Obviously, this happened before, and I think it was the same opponent, if memory serves me right. Cody ends up leaving AEW. I don't know how long after, but it was a period of time after, obviously. When you look at this and you look at it from a perspective of being a Hangman Adam Page fan, and you think, well, if he does lose this at Revolution. He can no longer go for that championship. Does it bring into question, when his contract's due, of course, whether or not Hangman Adam Page will hang up the cowboy boots in AEW?
I didn't expect it, but as you said, the callback to Cody, it was Jericho, I think, that he said if he didn't beat, he would never face. And obviously, Jericho
Okay.
won that match. Yeah, I think it was. But Hangman called himself undeniable in the promo as well, which is another little callback to Cody's promo, going from undesirable to
Yeah.
undeniable. So it was very deliberate in how they've set it up. I can't imagine Hangman not being involved in the title picture in AEW. For
Mm.
that reason, I would suggest that Hangman's going to win, but it's by no means a given. And I said about earlier about them having shorter title runs and passing them back and forth.
Mm.
Um, I think Hangman has to win this match. Like I can't imagine a AEW without Hangman going for the title. Um, so yeah, that's my prediction, if you like. Um, Again, didn't expect it. But by no means do I think it's a guarantee that because of the stipulation that Hangman is definitely going to win it. So going into Revolution, I'm very intrigued. I'm looking forward to the card anyway.
Mm.
But the main event, that's added a little extra ingredient, which I think is really gonna, if fans are on the fence about buying it in the States, I think they definitely will off the back of that.
Yeah, you are right, Dave. It was Full Gear. It was Chris Jericho, and it was Full Gear that happened with Cody. So you listen. Your AEW knowledge is far superior to mine, of course. Jordan, I'm going to throw something out there about this. Swerve Strickland costs Hangman Adam Page and gets the ultimate redemption on him. That's where
I,
I lead.
I don't think it'll happen.
No?
No, because they've both had that great rivalry and feud, and then they came together. Obviously, Swerve helped Hangman win it. He's not going to help him cost him. It's not. It's just. I don't think it's going to happen like that. I feel like what David said. Like he's going to win it.
Thing.
But then I think MJF is very entertaining as a world champion.
He is.
MJF is better as champion than chasing it.
Oh yeah,
Mhm.
that's without question. He's a much better. Yeah, you do get people that are better on the other side of that, but yeah, MJF is a far better champion than when he is going for the champion. That I do agree. But I think MJF's going to retain, and that's where where
Yeah.
I was leading to the whole Swerve Strickland
Okay.
situation. That's and that's why I was questioning the long-term future of Adam Page, because it's a case of what do you do, right? If you can't ever go for that World Heavyweight Championship, does he go and win the Continental Classic then this year and go for that championship? I don't know. Anyway, I don't know. We'll find out, right?
Yeah, I mean it's wrestling, isn't it? So, some of these stipulations, although they say they'll never do it, things can happen and things can change. There's a lot of titles, there's a lot of belts, there's a lot of things in AEW, but Hangman needs that title. Yeah, that's
Mm,
part of his character, that's part of his story arc in the company. Him and Max, and he alluded to it in the promo, they both need that title. So I think it's a real going into it without that stipulation, you would say MJF retains.
mm,
No question about it. But
yeah.
now they've thrown it, then like similar to Jordan, I'm thinking, well, Hangman's going to win. He's got to win, But how that plays out, and obviously you're thinking MJF's going to win. So there's going to be a lot of that. There's going to be a lot of split opinions going into Revolution, which builds that intrigue and it makes it a bigger match. And as bigger the match is, and even with the Texas Death stipulation, this Hangman, I mean, Max is going to add something as well next week, isn't he? From what he said,
Is he? Oh fuck, God knows, is
he's
he?
going to add. I don't know if it's a stipulation because he said something about taking his time and letting him know next week what he's. Hangman's saying that he won't go for the title again, but Max is going to add another stipulation or something else, to some term or some condition to it. So it's not the final match yet. There's something else to be added to it. But yeah, I think it's a great move, but I can't imagine anything other than a Hangman win.
We're gonna have to toss a coin who win, because we're gonna have to predict this. So we're
Mhm.
gonna have to
You know
toss
what?
a
Do you
coin.
know what's so funny? The timing. Raw does the crit and AEW does the stipulation, so he gets us all talking.
Yeah, it's what
Mhm.
it's there to do, and it's
Yeah,
we're talking about it right now. Both of the
working.
things,
Yeah, yeah.
but they're working us very, very well. But yeah, Dave, we're gonna have to toss a coin about that one for our prediction league. We're second now, man. We got a fucking clean sweep last time. I'll take
Yeah.
credit for that. That was TNA, so I'll take credit for that. But we need to keep on, man. We've got to keep things going. So we're
We'll
gonna have
see
to.
what Max says on Dynamite next week, and then we'll make
Yeah,
our
it might give us a
decision.
bit of a clearer head as to what way it's
Yeah, yeah.
going, right? We'll have to see. We'll come back to, well, that's really it from AEW's perspective. I just want to quickly natter over to land of TNA, Dave. You made me laugh when you said about how things in wrestling, when they say these things, doesn't always happen. Brings me to Steve Macklin. The guy gets feast or fired, and it turns out that he is fired, but then it turns out it was a whole storyline and he's not. So that's just where it got where. But anyway,
Yeah.
I do wanted to talk TNA quickly. Jordan, there's been a lot of talk. Well, at least within Impact, they've been teasing it a little bit. As he's been tag teaming up with Mike Santana, that being Leon Slater and that being the option C that Leon does have, which will guarantee him. It's a bit like NWA. NWA have a lucky seven rule. If you're the TV champion or the national champion and you win seven in a row, you can basically vacate that championship and it guarantees you a title shot. As Dave mentioned before we went on air, Austin Aries brought in option C. Um, does Leon cash this in? And if he does cash it in, Jordan, is he successful in winning the TNA Heavyweight Championship?
I think, yeah, he's going to take the option C,
Hmm.
but I don't think he wins.
No? Okay.
I think Leon Slater will get a moment later in the year, whether that's Slammiversary or another event, but later in the year, and I think that match will be like a three-way or a four-way.
Okay. Interesting. Interesting. Dave, I know you kind of rely on me a little bit for TNA stuff, but look, there's obviously vultures around Leon Slater. Those vultures are, of course, TKO and WWE. It's blatantly obvious that they're very interested in bringing him in. There's no doubt about it. We know TNA's deals are very short. We know there's a little bit of a revolving door there in TNA. A bit like what Jordan's alluding to there about Leon being unsuccessful. Maybe he does get his moment later on. But do you think if they're gonna pull the trigger on Leon, they're gonna have to do it this year? Because the reality is, come 2027, he's probably going to be in the WWE.
Yeah, I agree with everything that you're both saying. To be honest, I agree with Jordan. I think he will take option C, but I don't think this is the time they'll put the belt on him. But I also, agree with you. They're going to have to do it sooner or later if that's the way they're going to go. And by having him in this situation and being able to challenge for the title, he's obviously in contention. So I totally agree. I think later on in the year, I think you'll see Leon Slater as the TNA champion.
Okay, well, we'll see.
Just going to throw it out there. I think correct me if I'm wrong. I can't say their name. The Righteous. Did I say it right?
Righteous, righteous, yeah, pretty much.
Will defeat the Hardys for the
Yeah,
titles, and then I think Leon Slater and Mike Santana will win the titles,
also
the tag
righteous.
titles, as a duo. And I
Hmm.
think that will be I'm going to call it like May, June time. And then
Okay,
they will have a short run, and then that's where the whole championship circle will come round.
interesting. There we go. There we go. We got it. We've got it all predicted up until June in that case with TNA. Look, that'll be around. What's the big one they do in July? Bound for Glory, or is the other one? What's the other name of the other fucking big pay-per-view TNA do?
I want to say against all odds, but probably not.
No,
No.
no. There's Bound for Glory, Slammiversary. That's the one I'm trying to think of. And I think that's around June, July. I think.
Yeah, that's like their WrestleMania, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Bound for Glory is their October one. That's their I don't know. That's their other big one that they do, and Slammiversary is the one before, which I'm pretty certain is around July time. I think,
Yeah.
assuming they're still going to go with that month. But I see something happening in definitely in Bound for Glory. I don't know what. Maybe that's when Leon does take the option. Maybe that's when he wins it. I don't know, but I feel as if that's going to happen. I certainly feel like he'll be in the claws of the WWE by 2027 at some point. I know his deal's up this year, He's in a calendar year. They don't really have calendar years in TNA. A lot of them do 6 month. I think Elena Black's one was the year, so that's going to be up in 2027. So they're very short spells of TNA contracts. So Leon will be there or thereabouts in my. But yeah, I agree. Grand Slam anniversary, we'll get to see Leon Slayer. Just a quick one on the NWA, the Crockett Cup. They started their preliminary rounds last night at a sold out show over in Tampa, Florida. So good stuff. That's going to happen in April. So it'll be on Roku June, which is one of the things I hate about NWA, that they take these things so far in advance. The good thing is it's very hard to get spoilers unless you have to, unless you really look, or in Fiona's case, unless you go to the fucking event, and then the spoilers are right there because you're there. But yeah, so that will be interesting to see who wins that. The Good Brothers are in that this year as well. Gallows and Anderson. The Colognes are in it as well. So there's some big names in the Crockett Cup this year in the NWA. So we'll keep a look at that. And also, if you're a fan of Tom Latimer, he's pretty much got hair like you now. He used to have long locks, but he shaved them off, and he now looks 20 years younger, unlike you. But that's parenthood. But that's parenthood for you, Dave.
Yeah,
More than
definitely.
anything else.
I've aged 10 years in the last week, mate, to be honest.
Last week, yeah, I was going to say,
Yeah.
yeah. Shout out to my boy who's 11 on Wednesday, by the way. 11. Fuck, do I feel old? And that boy's 11.
26 on Saturday.
You were 26 this Saturday or coming?
No,
You're
Saturday coming up.
26.
Yeah.
Jesus. Dave, are you feeling like really old now?
Yeah, that's just a kick in the balls, isn't it?
You know a lot about that this week, wouldn't you? We won't discuss that on the show. Let's move on quickly to the final part, which is all about the Elimination Chamber. Dave, look, the Elimination Chamber is this coming Saturday. By now, usually, the field is complete. We see Raw, they do triple threats, they'll do tag matches, they'll do the big summit of the Elimination Chamber when they're all talking and all of that stuff. We still ain't got the full field. The men's and the women's field gets finalized tomorrow on Raw. I sat here and I shouldn't say sat here, I was thinking about this and I'm like, I don't know if they even know where they're going with some of this. And I feel like the booking, and Jordan mentioned it a little while ago, the booking has been questionable under Triple H. I feel as if this has been rushed to high hell because, well, for whatever reason, it's just been, we're just nowhere near getting to the where we need to be right now.
Yeah, I've got to admit, I've been watching Unreal. I've caught up with that recently. And Triple H, his time in the NXT, it was heralded, and he was going to be the savior of WWE when Vince was out the way, and I think probably in NXT it was more on him, and he had more autonomy, and he was making the decisions. I watch Unreal and I see these conversations that he's having around the table with multiple people, 10, 12 people in there on a creative team. Whereas, Vince, there was some bad times, but there's some really good times as well. And obviously, the comparison at the minute with AEW, you got Tony Khan making the decisions. I think Triple H needs to kind of cut some of these people out and make more of the decisions himself, because I really do think creatively, it hasn't been good for a while now. It's kind of been in a steady decline. And I think going into like a week away from Elimination Chamber and not knowing who's in the main event and who's going to be ultimately you know, competing for the main event at WrestleMania, essentially, and we just don't know which way it's going to go. I'm not sure. Like you say, that's not what we normally get, and I think that's a problem.
Yeah, Jordan, look, we'll finish up on this now. It feels right now like it is all over the place over there at the minute. And I've been the biggest WWE fan. Dave, you will be your testament to this. I've never been honestly so disconnected with WWE right now. I don't know what's going on over there. I'm not as invested as I was. I feel as if like the bloodline stuff, ever since that's gone away, they've had no plan B. Where do you feel that you are on this coming up to? Considering we've got Elimination Chamber and we're not even got the field there for those matches.
I don't think we've had a really good WrestleMania build up or anything since The Rock.
Yeah.
And I think it shows how quickly things can turn around. Obviously, The Rock comes back in January, says he's going to be facing and taking Cody's spot when he won at the Rumble. 2 weeks later, things changed. Then we get a really good build up to WrestleMania. We get the final boss. That was the best one that we've had in years. And then I think I agree with what you said, Adam. I think after the Bloodline finished, I didn't think they didn't have a backup. I mean, Roman beat Solo. Why didn't Solo shake his hand or something? Or they weren't a like confrontation, or they weren't something after it.
No, there was nothing.
That's what blew my mind.
Yeah, there's been nothing. There really hasn't been anything.
They're a mess at the moment.
It is. It really is. I think it's an absolute car crash at the minute over there. And I hate to say it, but it is. And the more that they keep messing up and the more AEW keep knocking things out the park, Jesus.
We've spoke about this extensively, though, haven't we, over the past few
Mm,
years? It doesn't seem to be that both companies can really be on top for
no.
whatever reason. It's definitely AEW's time at the minute. And you look at I don't know what think of Meltzer and the Observer
Rick.
Awards. I know that people are kind of panning them online, but you look at the
Mm,
Pro Wrestling Illustrated Awards, it was heavily dominated by AEW.
yeah.
But in other years, in the past few years, WWE have, been picking up those awards. It doesn't seem that both companies can be on top at the same time. And it's definitely swung back towards AEW at the minute.
Hmm.
But that's not to say in 12 months' time we've got a totally different landscape. But the signs have been there for a long. We spoke like a year ago about
Yeah.
ticket prices
Mm.
and TKO and kind of taking advantage and keeping up in those ticket prices, but they had a hot product. Now they've got a cold product, and those ticket prices are still high. And I can't help but to feel that's playing a part in the general feeling towards WWE and TKO at the minute, and why AEW have perhaps got a little bit more goodwill.
Well, the fact of the matter is they're having to now do blackouts in Chicago. So places can't can't do watch parties because the tickets to Elimination Chamber are the lowest they've ever had. Now, considering Punk and AJ Lee are both competing at the Elimination Chamber, you know that shows you WrestleMania is the lot again the shortest amount of ticket sales they've ever done
They're
for a wrestling.
18% down on last year, aren't they? It's the same venue, but that is
Yeah.
kind of telling, really. The same point they were last year. It's 18% lower.
Yeah,
So
and there's nothing really 'cause I would say to come that would increase those ticket sales. Like if you think what could be coming, the money match has already been made. Roman and Punk's your main event. That's done. We don't really. We were going to sit here. We're probably going to say it's going to be Drew and Cody, maybe with Jacob included in that somehow. The other side. Brock and either Gunther and Obafemi, which I would be keen to see, but I don't know if, the crowd would. I don't know if that's going to ramp up ticket sales. Who knows? I mean, look,
yeah, I
that
had someone talking about AJ, and
Mhm.
it's looking like he's going to stay with the company. And people were
Yes.
saying, is AJ going to wrestle at WrestleMania? But is that really going to shift any more tickets, or is that going
No.
to really increase buy rates? It seems a little bit desperate to making those type of suggestions. I'm
There was
disappointed that,
Cena as well.
yeah,
Cena,
yeah.
yeah, yeah,
I-
yeah.
I'm disappointed that it doesn't look like we're going to get AJ Osprey over in AEW. I am disappointed about that, but yeah, back to WWE and WrestleMania plans. I don't really see what they can do other than The Rock, possibly, which is what they did last year. They kind of
Mhm.
was it in Canada where they had low ticket sales for Elimination Chamber, and that's where they did
Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah, yeah.
the Rock and the heel turn and all of
Mhm.
that. So
Yeah.
yeah, maybe these panic stations backstage, and that may
The
be why
thing
we've not
is,
missed that. Yeah.
isn't the chamber on the 28th?
Chambers this coming Saturday, yeah, 28th.
So they can't. So if it is going to be The Rock, whoever's there, they're going to get it firsthand. But the people that own bought the tickets are going to be like, "Well, I missed out."
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Well, look, we'll see. We'll see what happens. Dave will be coming back to this next week and having a good chat about it. We'll know what's in the crate by the time that we head back. We will know the main events for WrestleMania by this time, the men's and the women's majority anyway. Liv Morgan hasn't made her choice yet, but I'm certain she's going to have to before Elimination Chamber, if memory serves me right, unless they can still wait longer. I don't know how that pans out because the winners of the Elimination Chambers face the champions at the other one. The winners of the Royal Rumble didn't pick. So
Yeah.
I'm sure Liv's going to have to make her choice at some point. But look, before we wrap up, I do need to again apologize to any fans that attended Ignite this just Sunday just gone. We don't like when backstage stuff spills out into the audience or into the foyer where people are, and it did this past week. First off, congratulations to Chris Aries for winning our championship. Dave, we've got a man that never fucking smiles as our champion, so that's a really great thing for us. His first challenger will be announced in the coming weeks. I've got somebody in mind. I just need to get it signed off by the top brass at Ignite, so to speak. But yeah, Taylor James, Tom Mercer, and Ryan Curran, their actions, I'm sure CJ Carter will address himself, but you three pricks need to sort your attitudes out when you want to come back to this fucking company. Taylor James, you bottled your championship match, my friend. You lost your world championship, right? You had your boys at ringside. They made no fucking difference to the outcome. You bottled it. Grow a set of bollocks and fucking apologize for your actions. And the other two, just be glad or grateful that you're even back next show. Will you be back next show? I don't know. But that kind of stuff just is not tolerated and won't be tolerated by anyone at Ignite, boys. So grow up, lads. Grow up. Anyway, enough on that. Right. Big week. Some interviews coming up this week. We've got the usual stuff dropping, so just keep an eye on that. Jordan, let people know where they can follow you on your social medias, please.
YouTube, One Breezy, and X, One Breezy. That's it, mostly.
There you go. Dave, we're going to need to put our heads together. We've got Elimination Chamber to predict. I'll send you the list on Tuesday once we know Tuesday morning. Yeah, once I've watched Raw, I'll know who's qualified. Then we got to put our heads together and predict the card or predict the show. So get some sleep. Try not to have too many nightmares of your holiday in your sleep. But yes, we will see. But look, just keep following us, HTT Buckle on YouTube. I don't know what you guys are watching on our YouTube show, but I do have to say this. I got a message. I didn't get a message from YouTube. I was scrolling through our analytics, Dave, and it's this thing pops up. I'll read it on my screen. It says, hold on, your hard work has paid off. Your channel has got 226% more views than normal. I don't know.
Yeah, that Righteous interview was good, so maybe it was that.
If you dig what Dave's saying, you should go and check it out. But look, you can check it out. There's actually a TNA exclusive section in our playlist now where you can see the very first interview conducted by Hitting the Turnbuckle with TNA, which was by the Problem Child, a very nervous Problem Child against the Decay, or you were interviewing the Decay, if I might add, and up to the last one, which was, of course, the Righteous Vincent and Dutch. Go and check those out. Go and check all the other ones out. Also, go and see our good friend Justin over at the I Love Wrestling podcast. He's recently interviewed the Hardy Boys and someone, Dave, who we've interviewed in the past. Diamond Dallas Page was on there as well. And speaking of interviews coming up, maybe a controversial former Raw general manager, shall we say, David, would make his first appearance. I don't know if our channel will be shut down if we do get him on, but it's a conversation for another day, right? And of course, our big return, which we'll announce in due course, mainly when I get the date confirmed that our big return is coming on, which is what I'm waiting for. and then we'll see you on there. But Dave, Jordan, obviously, thank you as ever. David, I will see you this time next week when we will know who is going to WrestleMania, and it ain't going to be us.
No.
It's not. But until then, everybody, from Jordan, from David, from me, have a good night, and we will see you on the other side of the weekend. Until then, everybody, take care and good night.